Fellas, we got some exciting new news on Overwatch 2's PvE game mode, and the release of it might be a lot closer than we might think. Now, originally this news was brought to my attention by OW Calvary on Twitter, in which the news source was developed from this clip.
PvE.
Ooh, we are, what I will say, Andy is probably freaking out right now. What I will say is that we are currently planning the time where we're going to talk about it, which will be, I've said this before, will be soon, and I actually do mean it'll be pretty soon. Not Blizzard soon, Jared soon, which is a different thing. Which you know, is sooner.
Well, now we'll be able to know from this time point, we'll figure out what Jared soon is.
Yeah, you can.
So this was taken from a conversation Seagull and Iman GG were having with Jared New as the lead director. Seagull throwing a little bit of shade saying Blizzard soon, but when he says Jared soon, it actually means maybe in a month or two. Now this is actually pretty interesting because since January, we haven't had really any updates as to when PvE is going to be coming or what the progress of it is. Now, PvE is something that Blizzard has been working on for years, and it was one of the main focal points with Overwatch 2's launch. Now that we have some information on PvE, it opens the door to speculate on what could be coming, when it could possibly be coming, and what we can expect to see. So the first thing to be confirmed is that PvE is going to have skill trees involved within it. So for whatever character you decide to play, you're going to have a tree that you can path down and unlock different abilities for your character. So it's going to be a level system, and when you level up, you'll receive talent points, which you can then use on your skill tree. Now for the soldier example, we can see that he has 3 different ones: Commander, Rifleman, and Vigilant. I would say Commander is probably going to help focus more on utility in your team, Rifleman more likely for accuracy, and then Vigilant I would say for more sustained fighting. I would say the skill tree system is going to work very, very similar to how it works in Borderlands, and if you never play Borderlands, it's basically the same thing. There's a leveling system, and you pick which tree you want to go down. Next, we know PvE will be a mission-based system, so on the top right, we see get to the ship core, basically telling us what the objective is going to be. Now, one thing I'm very curious about is how Blizzard is going to run the PvE mode. Are they just going to make one big storyline that everyone is open to playing? Are they going to change it season to season? Because here's the thing, PvE in Overwatch, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a looter shooter. And what do I mean by that? So the game I was referring to before, Borderlands, is basically a looter shooter, so when you fight bosses, you kill enemies, it drops loot on the ground, changes your weapon, and you can get different abilities, different upgrades. The Overwatch PvE mode, there has to be some collectability to it, or I feel like it's going to get boring very quickly. Because a game like Borderlands, where it's purely PvE based, it doesn't get boring because of the looter shooter aspect, and you're always trying to get better loot. On top of that, they have a massive storyline. Now, one thing about Overwatch is I don't want it to be disappointing. They just have one short storyline, kill a few enemies here and there, and then just kill one final boss at the end and get like a reward or something for it. Because if that's the case, I feel like not that many people are going to be playing it, and it's going to kill the hype for it. On top of this, I don't know how they're going to choose the characters that are going to be playable, because there's no way they're going to have the entire cast have these special abilities. You never know, they might do it, but to be honest, I think if they have all the characters with these special abilities and skill trees, it's just going to complicate things and decrease the playability. For example, say in Season 1 of PvE, they have only 5 to 10 different playable characters with different skill trees. I think that would keep the game fresh. On top of this, allowing the campaign supposedly having replayability. So I'm curious to see what Blizzard is going to do to create that replayability, because right now that seems like the biggest problem with PvE that it's going to generate. Here's the problem. If they release all the characters along with one story, a lot of people, if they're going to play the heck out of the story, and then they're just going to get bored and not play the second season of PvE. Because here's the thing, you can look through every single skill tree of every different character, see which ones you want to play, and then more than likely people are just going to choose who they want to play. But if you only have 5 to 10 characters, it forces you to continue to play new characters, which is overall good for the health of the game. Next, I want to talk about some of the abilities that could possibly be coming. So in this next clip here, we have Soldier walking around with his field. And this next clip, when he walks near enemies, it gives them a little knockback effect. Mercy potentially having the capability to fire lightning from her rod. Now, keep in mind, this footage is very old, so they are subject to change, but it's just some of what we have so far. We also have some cutscenes coming in from this clip at BlizzCon. Now, this might just seem like a simple little cutscene, but one thing this kind of solidifies is this is going to be a fully fledged storyline. It's not just going to be some simple run and gun, hit some enemies here and there. It actually kind of confirms that it's going to be a longer storyline and potentially basically like a full new game, hopefully. Another thing I would like to see personally is a currency system in the game. So using this currency, you could upgrade your weapons, upgrade your armor, make you stronger. And this would be in addition to your skill points. So having your skill points to level up your skill tree. And on top of this, maybe getting a currency from looting, for example. I think that's one of the main things that Blizzard needs to have. Some sort of collectible that we can collect within the PvE so that it doesn't get boring. Because people's attention spans nowadays, let's be honest, they get bored super easily, and if they're not grinding for something or they just feel like they're only hitting enemies for fun, they're not going to be interested for very long. And it does seem like Blizzard already has a loot mechanic. So I just want to freeze this on the screen. It looks like there's going to be different grenade mods and chests, each with their own different rarities. So once I unfreeze it here, this one is a orange grenade mod, and the one that he drops is a blue. So pretty interesting. This is very old footage, like I was saying before. So I'm sure by now Blizzard has thought of some other ideas to put into the crates. Because I'm going to be honest, if it's just the grenade mods, that's going to get a little bit boring in my opinion. Another thing I really want to see coming out of Blizzard for PvE is a difficulty selector. I really hope there isn't just one set difficulty for this mode. Because for me personally and many others, running through the game and just killing enemies isn't really all that fun. I like there to actually be some thought behind what I'm doing, not just running through the enemies and doing nothing. Could even be as basic as just having an easy, medium, and hard mode. And in the hard mode, maybe you deal less damage or the enemies just have more health. In the easy mode, you deal more damage and the enemies have lower health. It would still be the same storyline, but it would just be easier for newer players, and then the players that have played more, they would have a little bit more of a challenge. Now on top of the screen here, it says that we have a reactor core up top, kind of holding the UI for a boss fight. Now this is pretty interesting. There's no way Blizzard is going to have a PvE mode without having boss fights. Now what we're seeing on screen in the background, it might be a mini boss, or it could be the actual boss, like it has a little cutscene. But here's the thing, the HP on the boss, it shows above the boss. It doesn't show at the top of the screen. Maybe that's one thing they could change, but I would like to see the HP at the top so it feels more of like a serious fight. One thing I will say though, the background and the playing field where the characters walk around on, it actually looks very good. A lot of different environments, different dynamics going on. Hopefully having the ability to travel to and from and not just a linear story. One thing I will say though is I really hope Blizzard doesn't just make the maps in the playable area just maps we already have in multiplayer. Like I want to see something new. I want to see something fresh. I don't want to just see reskins of multiplayer maps as the playing field. All I'm going to say though is I hope the PvE patch and the news that we get really kind of revitalizes Overwatch. Because right now it feels like the patch we got in Overwatch 2, it was just a reskin of Overwatch 1. There wasn't really anything new that was released besides a couple of characters and just a bunch of reskins. So I'm really hoping that Overwatch does it right, remakes the entire game basically, and actually gives us Overwatch 2 as we were promised. Anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on PvE? My name is Halzeey, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.